I don't have a problem when I be going, and it's those aunties that be like, you guys still not married? You guys got 2 kids? Why? For what, girl? You've been married and unhappy your whole life. Leave me alone, just be like.
What would you want your legacy to be as a mother?
Faith in God. I think that's important for me to leave behind for my kids.
I'm giving her the lessons on how to navigate life outside of me.
So today we're just gonna get to talk about womanhood and motherhood.
We run businesses, we write books,
I'm the only one sitting here that's not in a relationship.
Good for you. That's lovely.
Nowadays it feels good as hell to say no to people and setting those boundaries.
They're gonna know love by how we love. They're gonna know respect by how we respect. They're gonna know we are the first lesson to everything for our kids.
Amen.
Thank you, ladies, for being here.
Yes, of course.
So today we're just gonna get to talk about womanhood and motherhood and what that looks like for us. And so I'm just excited that you guys said yes, and that you guys could be here so that we can unpack some things. I think that all of us have something to say and we can contribute to the people watching. And so we just get to dissect where we are at as mothers and as women. And so I guess the first thing I would say would be, what stage of motherhood are you in? So I'm in this stage of my daughter is going to be 13. So she's finding out who she is as a little woman. And so I'm navigating the bittersweet season of motherhood to where I want my little baby back, but she's not a little baby. So I have to give her space and respect her as a little lady. So what stage are you guys in as mothers?
Well, I only have one for now. So I have another one. So I think the stage I'm in is she's 4, so she's developing all this personality to where I'm looking at her who are you? Keep this personality forever, even though I know it's not going to be this forever. So I think I'm still they're just gaining their personality, finding out who she is at 4, this little lady with all this personality. It's like having a mini me, but you're not me, so stop.
You're a baby. I'm the mom. What about you, Chas?
I have 4 kids, so
they
range from elementary, middle school, and then 2 in high school. One he's an adult, so he just turned 18, so he's on his independent, trying to figure out what he's trying to do. Just got his driver's license. But the others are in high school and middle school, elementary, and it's a lot because it's juggling different personalities, different age ranges and maturities. So
that's 5 seasons in one.
Wow.
But I love it though.
Yeah, good for you. What has been the hardest part of motherhood for you guys?
I think one hard thing about motherhood is learning yourself and as a mother, and then learning your own self personally again. Because after you have a kid, obviously it's so cliche, people you're not the same, but you're literally not the same. So you have to relearn, and it's you're reborn too after you have your baby. So, and then I don't know if it's like that with you. You have 4 kids, so I don't know if it changes every time you have a kid. You guys dang, I got to go through this regrowth again.
I think for me, I had my kids young, like you, and so I was growing with my kids, and it was a struggle. It's still a struggle, it's always going to be a struggle, but at that time, I didn't have a career that, that I had set up for myself, and so I was just growing with my kids, and then finding my independence later. But I think that's why it pushed me so much to do my business and everything, because of the struggle.
Having to navigate motherhood and womanhood, that was it was having children so young. I was just starting womanhood in my 20s, and I'm I'm 21. And then I find out that I'm pregnant.
And I always say that too. I'm I commend people who have kids when they're 21 or even younger, because I'm like I said, by the time I had Marilyn, I was mid late 20s, and I'm I couldn't imagine trying to bring a kid at 21. I'm like, I was living life. I had no responsibility, you know.
I always think about that. I'm like, 20s, I had a friend that had her daughter at 17. And so like navigating who you are as a young girl and then now becoming a mom. And a lot of people were like, okay, well, when you become a mom, you become a woman. Not necessarily. I think we have a lot of moms that are still young girls that haven't actually fully grew up. Right. I have to be a mom, but I'm also a person. Like before we became a mom, before our mom became a mom, she was a woman. So like, how do you navigate your identity outside of being a mom? Like, how do you keep up with that? Has that like changed for you?
That's a hard question.
Sometimes it's hard to separate the two because your mom's 25-8. So like, I think now that I'm older, I'm learning to like do things like self-care, the whole like, you know, take a little drive somewhere if you need it, like for the mental clarity, because I think it's hard to separate that.
Yeah. I was having that conversation with my mom too. She's always just been my mom. And so like sometimes she'll have like her days where she just needs to separate it. And I'm like, you're my mom. Like who else am I gonna go to? And so I have to remember that outside of being my mom, she's still just a woman. And so like I'm able to like give her grace for that because now I'm a mom. And like every now and then I'm like, girl, if you don't get out of my face, you know, with my daughter.
Right.
And so like I have to extend grace to like my mom because she was before she was my mom, she was somebody else. And so I think, like you said, taking the self-care days, my friend takes Mondays off. And so that's her day where she just like phones off, nobody bother her. For me, I wake up at 4 a.m. And so like that's my time to like collect myself and find out what I like to do. I like, you know, go to the gym, write a little, and then like get my day started as a mom because it doesn't stop, like you said. So yeah, I have to create the space to maintain my identity outside of being a mom. And like that takes, you know, intention.
I think the way you create this space, I think the way I would balance it is I kind of combine the space. Like me individually, who I am as a person versus me, who I am as a mom. I kind of like clash the two together, which sometimes can be a positive thing or a bad thing. Because sometimes it's like you're trying to differentiate.
Are you overwhelmed by it?
No, it's kind of like you differentiate. Are you your daughter's mom or are you your daughter's homegirl? You know, because like my personal me time would be like, okay, let's go. I love going to brunch. I love getting my nails done. I love, okay, let's just go sit at a view. And then I kind of incorporated my daughter in that.
Yeah.
So like that me time is like our time, but then you still, like you said, you have to find that balance to give yourself your me time. She can't have it all.
So like I was struggling at 21 when I became a mom because there were so many people giving me advice about it. And I'm like, okay, well, they told me that I should do this, I should do that. And I was just like, I had to realize that like that doesn't work for me. And like, I think, you know, navigating it like that's a big way of prioritizing like your mental health.
But you learn that as you grow as a mother.
What works for you?
What works for you?
Like our parents instilled their values and their ways, and we still keep, well, for myself, like I still keep their ways, but I don't spank my kids, and we used to get beat. I feel like I like to talk to my kids, and I'm open with my kids, whereas like growing up, you know, I don't, like, you know.
But did your parents shame you for that sometimes? Or like be like,
that's
you
a
need to
good
whoop
question.
them.
So this is a good
Oh,
topic.
yes.
You know?
See,
like
because
that's
like,
the problem. You ain't spanking them.
I like Chaz, I don't whip my daughter either. But versus how we were growing up, you say the wrong thing, you got the right hand coming to you, you know? Which I also feel like that was the fear instilled in us. And that's one thing that I don't want to instill in my daughter, which is fear. Because I think that's one of the toxic traits growing up in our culture is a lot of people, boy or girl, it doesn't matter, just in the culture, grew up within fear because of that fine line of respect you don't cross. You don't say this to an elder. You don't, you know, act a certain way. And if you do, then that's your ass, you know? Or it's like even like the modern parents, like maybe they won't spank you or hit you in front of people, but as soon as we get out that door, as soon as I take you to that bathroom, you know? So it's just like now I do get looked at crazy a little bit because I let my daughter express herself. At 4 years old, she has a smart mouth. But say what you feel, girl. I'm not going to hold it to you because I feel like you should be hovering your feelings or filtering how you feel, because that affects us when we become adults, or that affects you when you become an adult. So that's a fine line that I'm learning as a parent myself, because we didn't grow up that way. Yeah. And so it's like when it comes out of her mouth to me, I'll be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But then it's like also, okay, I hear what you're saying, girl. Like, and I don't want her to be afraid to express herself, because as a mom, I feel like, you know, I want you to be able to talk to me. I'm sure it's the same with you guys too. So like, I don't whoop her. Yeah. And because I don't, all I gotta say is, Marilyn, if you don't do this, I'm gonna slap you. Quick. And then, that's it. That's like, that threat enough is like scary enough for her. Or if once I start cussing her out or yelling, it's just like it's like it's like a heart attack for her, right? Mommy. Versus when I was growing up, I'm testing all the patience of my parents, you know. My mama said she gonna slap me, but she ain't really gonna. Is she really gonna slap me if I do this, you know? Like, but I think that's one thing, like you said, growing up in the Samoan culture is, it was like tough love.
Yeah. What has motherhood taught you about life? About living life? What has motherhood taught you? Yeah. I think for me, it would be two things. It would be responsibility and accountability. Like you said, we talked about earlier, before having children, you just kind of have none of that. You live life how you want to live. And so it has taught me that I'm responsible for my words, for the way that I live, my actions, my choices, and that I'll be held accountable for them, if not on this earth, then before God. And so responsibility and accountability has taught me motherhood. That's what motherhood has taught me.
Aside from accountability, I say motherhood has taught me patience.
I'm still learning that one.
I learn it every day, but yeah, I was, I wouldn't say I was an impatient person, but you know, you start to question things in life. Like you said, what does it teach you about life? Felt like before I'd question my timeline on life, or whether this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Is this, you know, is this where I'm supposed to be at? Is this what God has planned for me? Until you look at your kids and you realize you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And then it can, you know, patience can go a long way. Then you learn they test your patience when they do certain things or they act out of certain things. And that's things we have to learn ourselves. There's no written handbook for motherhood and everyone has a different book on life. Everybody's life is different. So I think for me, the main thing motherhood has taught me would be patience. I mean, it's kind of cliche, but I feel like it's real.
I think for me, it's just unconditional love. Because with everybody else, you know, you love different, but with your kids, it's like, it's always going to be that with them. No matter if they make you angry, they do all these crazy bad things, but you always love them unconditionally at the end of the day. And I'm the type of mom, I don't know about you guys, but when your kids get older and say they're like adults and they need to come home, I'm the type of mom that I'm gonna be like, come home. Yes, you ain't even gotta ask me. Like, it's always gonna be that with my kids.
Yeah, that's how my dad is. He's always like, you guys can stay here. I'm like, I'm trying to leave. Let me go.
I know.
But I think that's also like a cultural thing too. Like our Samoan families are always just trying to be together all the time. They're so tight. So we could all grow up together in the same house and be together forever.
That might be an oldest child syndrome thing. It's like, I'm trying to leave. And the family wants you to stay together under one roof.
Do we need to talk about, are you an eldest child?
Youngest.
Oh, you're the youngest. You're an eldest. Yeah, I'm the eldest. Oh, child.
Girl.
I gotta go to therapy because I'm an eldest child.
That eldest child trauma is different.
Because you guys mothered, like, kind of helped mother the kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So then, like, I think that's what helped my mother, too. Naturally, it just, like, took a role on because I'm an eldest daughter. So, like, now I'm helping.
The eldest daughter made me not want to be a mother.
I'm the oldest. I struggled with it.
I'm the oldest
of
11. Ooh. So my whole life I said I didn't want kids. When I did have my pregnancy, I was in denial. I took 4 different tests and still was like, all of these say positive and it ain't positive.
On me.
They lying on my downfall, okay? I'm supposed to be the rich auntie. But yeah, that oldest child syndrome is different.
Yeah, that's true.
But like you said, it prepared
yeah.
you for your motherhood role, which I think when I was getting prepared for motherhood, I don't think my question was, am I going to be a good mother? Because I was doing it my whole life.
Yeah.
My question was, I got to give up my life now. I was learning how to share my independence.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And accepting that you're not just one.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be a mother now.
Yeah. I think like for me too, like even struggling with like womanhood and motherhood was the fact that like you talked about was the timeline. For me, it's like, oh my gosh, like I have no man, and that ain't a problem, you know. But like it's like I'm 34 and I have my daughter, and like how do like everybody's getting married, everybody's having babies and buying a house, like so there's like this unwritten timeline as women that we're always looking. I don't think men even care about the timeline because they just do whatever the hell they want to do.
True.
but like there's just this unwritten timeline as women that we're always staring at, like, oh my gosh, I got to get this done for my business, oh my gosh, I got to like take my kid's about to graduate, we got to do this, or like I'm always staring at that timeline for me in my life. So, I mean, I love that you said that because child have mercy. I'll be going through it.
But then other people try to have a timeline on your life too.
I think even coming from like a Samoan culture too, it's like, okay,
When are you getting married?
when are you getting married?
Where's your
Oh my gosh.
husband?
I'm gonna stop showing up to events because my aunties keep asking, where's my man?
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily say, where's your man? It's kind of just like, what's going on with your life? How is it going? And it's like, oh, you're asking me about the man that I got to be patient for. So, yeah, I mean, there's this unwritten timeline, but also, like you said, our culture has kind of pushed that into us. You get married, you have babies.
Well, that's because back in the day, that's all they did. They got married, they had babies, and they were still married with different baby mamas and baby daddies, your aunties, your cousins, and your
We
cousins.
found out he had a baby somewhere else.
You looking at your cousin like, why we got the same last name? Because they didn't have nothing better to do back in the day. I think now it's easier for us in the modern time to set boundaries, and, you know, and not worry about that unwritten timeline, because I don't have a problem when I be going, and it's those aunties that be like, you guys still not married? You guys got 2 kids? Why? For what, girl? You've been married and unhappy your whole life. Leave me alone, you know, just be like, I feel like everybody is on their own timeline, but like you said, the times is different.
Yeah.
Versus back then, that's all they knew, that's all they could do, really, and it was just like that. That's what was instilled, you know. You get married, you have kids, you settle down as a family. It wasn't like we run businesses, we write books, you know. Okay. So I think the time is different. Is there anything I would say was challenging for you? Like, what did you go against the grain with when becoming a mother? Like, traditionally, what did you go against?
Letting my baby daddy go. Not marrying my baby daddy.
Right.
Because I mean, it happens a lot in our culture. You have a baby outside of marriage, right? And then they're like, okay, well, you guys, we're gonna fix this by getting married.
Right.
You guys are gonna work it out together. I mean, I don't even like him right now, you know. So like, how am I gonna marry him? Yeah, I think that was a thing for me to be like, yeah, I'm walking away from a situation. I struggle with that a lot. I struggled with it a lot. Was like was this the best decision I made for my daughter and me? But I think like as women, our kids are the first thing that they're gonna see. They're gonna know love by how we love. They're gonna know respect by how we respect. They're gonna know we are the first lesson to everything for our kids. And so how could I teach my daughter how to love herself if I was still holding on to a relationship that did not serve me anymore?
Right.
So yeah, I think I went against the grain, but I think also it's a new time, you know, and it's not a big deal, but also it is a big deal because women are still holding on to relationships that don't serve them. So, yeah, that was something that I did. I like tried and then it didn't work, and I was like, okay, well, I tried. Bye. So, what has been like a guiding force for you to navigate? Brought you back. Like, what has been the blueprint for you while being a mother? It's been like the guiding light.
For me, like leaning on God.
Yeah.
Because you always go through the ups and the downs, a lot of discouragement and doubt, especially as a young mom. But as a mom, period, and just leaning on God because you know that He really gonna bring you through it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I would say the same. It's
Your faith.
my faith. Yeah, absolutely. And like not in like no cliche way, because like my walk is not perfect, but it is like the driving force to who I am outside of being a mom. Like it's real for me. And so yeah, it's been in 2017. I say my daughter reintroduced me to God because we all grew up in the church, and so I could no longer hang on to my parents' coattail of a salvation. I had to like find God for myself. I think my faith has always been the force since 2017 to guide me back, to give me the hope that I need. My family, knowing that I'm a single mom, but I have a village behind me that does not play about me and does not play about my daughter. And so I'm happy that like that's something that I could always lean back on. Yeah, God, my family, the people that love me in real life.
In real life. I think piggybacking on you guys is God has always been a staple in my life. Like you said, we were raised in the church, so I always knew God.
Yeah.
But I think what got me through hard times or through tough situations was every time I went through something, I had to learn something about myself.
Yeah.
So I think that, and this is not to like discredit God or anything in any way, is I've always known God, but I think to get through anything, I had to learn myself first. I think that's a big part of going through your trials or going, whether it's personally, whether it's through motherhood. I'm always going to lean on God.
Yeah.
But if you yourself don't know who God is, how can you lean on Him? And you have to learn yourself individually. So I think that getting through a lot of trials and things was just to learn myself as a person, learn my limits, your boundaries, what you've already gone through. And like all of that strength does come from God.
Yeah.
All the love, all the family, our base is from the man up above. I would say that would be like my spiritual strength, was learning myself. And the more you learn yourself, the more you learn who God is on a deeper level.
What would you want your legacy to be as a mother? What do you want to leave with your children? I think like naturally we always say things like we want to leave them with wealth, generational wealth. We want to leave them a home, the American dream. I think for me, I want to be able to leave my faith to my daughter. It's so important to me that she encourages herself when I'm not around. I think it's very easy to encourage our kids constantly all the time, but when nobody's around there, how are they going to be able to get through these things? And I think that's a big part of me as being a writer, is that like I'm writing these stories when it comes to woman, when it comes to healthy confrontation. I'm giving her the lessons on how to navigate life outside of me. And I think that's like important for all of us as mothers, as women. That's what we're giving the next generation. And it's not just, the money. It's not just the cars. It's like, what can we leave our children of substance? And so, yeah, I think the most important thing for me is to leave a legacy of faith so that my daughter can look in the mirror and know who she is as a woman of God, when she does not feel like getting up in the morning, when she's struggling with the things that she's struggling with, men, with friends. How does that look like for her in the next part of our life? So what are things that you would like to leave your children? Like, what's a thing of legacy that you would want to leave your daughter or your children with?
For me, to always work hard That's very important to me. And so, like, just so they can always be like self-sufficient, take care of themselves. They don't have to worry about somebody else or asking somebody else for help. Yes, we always need help, but always to work hard for themselves and to always trust in God, our religion, our, like you, faith in God. I think that's important for me to leave behind for my kids.
Yeah.
And trusting themselves, being confident.
Yeah.
The list goes on.
If anything were to happen to me, or my legacy I want to leave with her would be individuality and independence. I would love for her to keep or understand her individuality. Like you said, I want her to wake up in the morning and know who she is. I want her to feel the confidence as she grows, whether me as a mother, I'm here or not. Because I think even us, we understand, we love our mothers, but they won't always be here. So I would love for her to understand her independence too. Without me, you're still you. So I would love for her, like I said, even if her faith is different from mine, she can believe in God however she wants to. She can praise Him however she wants to. That's a part of her independence, a part of her individuality, just to stand as her own person. So even like now as a 4-year-old, I still instill in myself that you're raising a little woman. Whether I'm here or not, she still has her individuality. She still has her independence because, just your authenticity opens doors for you. And whether, like you said, whether it be monetary, generational wealth, people want to instill this, I want to leave houses, I want to leave cars, I want to leave businesses. I think people fail to realize that you don't know what your child's going to want in 18 years. You can leave that business and they're going to sell it when they turn 18, So like I said, I'd rather her develop her own independence, own individuality. That would be the legacy I want to leave for her and the next one on the way.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, ladies. I pray that whatever you guys do in the next season of your life, that God blesses everything from your feet to your hands and all the doors that you walk into.
The strength of a woman is not found in the titles given to her on purpose or in doubt. It is the ability to learn herself and grow from the very things that unearth her insecurity, her confidence, her doubt, her love, her anger, her tears, her fear. It is in all of those qualities that God uses for good. They are not easy qualities, but our children, our families, our friendships and relationships are the tools God uses to keep us striving to be a better woman. Blessed is the spine that remembers where she came from. Blessed is the woman that bears names she didn't even know she could use. Oailo Suafa, what is your name? We are the names they cannot pronounce. We are the women filling in spaces our ancestors couldn't language. We found the fire in our bellies and we ripped the quiver from our voice and stood at the brink of womanhood and told our stories. Here are the stories of brown women.